Um, Recording another part of love. Um, love is a conversation that's gonna have to be broken down into like different parts. This is just a little casual conversation, so we could go over some things that's been on my mind recently and some of the things that I mentioned in a little voiceover video. So, um, I really kind of hate that I took so much time off with recording because my mind has been like over here, over there. I've learned a lot. I've grown a lot. And it's just like, I want to start talking, but then it's like, I really don't know where to start, you know? And it makes things a little difficult. Like, I had intentions on recording Satan Manipulation Part 2 and 3 this weekend. That did not happen because my mind has been absolutely blank. And then it's like, I want to talk about this, I want to talk about that. Yeah. So as far as the hair video goes, something that I forgot to mention was, and this is very important, this is the first time in my life that I have been able to completely be comfortable being myself inside and outside. And like, in high school and stuff and before high school, it starts very early on looking at other people and being like, oh, I want to look like her. I want my hair to be dyed like this, and I want this and I want that because you see what everybody else is doing. So this is the first time, and I would say probably my whole life, that my hair has been like 100% natural. It is very much a blessing to no longer be looking at other people and being like, oh, I want to look like them and stuff. Even like when it comes to the gym, I mentioned that it is extremely hard, which I'm not going to show no pictures right now because that phone is on a charger. Plus I don't really intend for this to be the hardest to love yourself conversation, but just a little brief mention about it. Um, one thing that I did understand during my healing process, learning some of these things originally, is the fact that we're not supposed to be seeing each other's bodies the way that we are. Like, you only, like, if we live the way that God truly intended us to live, Satan was never in the picture. The only person's body you're supposed to know is yours, your husband, your wife. That's it. All of this, being able to get online, you could see somebody in California who you would never meet a day in your life. You know what they look like in a thong and in a bikini and everything. We're not supposed to be seeing that kind of stuff. And then it's just like, with the influence, social media culture, everybody is like selling something to some extent, and it's always been predominantly focused on body fitness, making sure that you look as good as possible. So it's also like, it's hard. Like, I like to work out and stuff. I like to exercise. I've been trying to get more into that a little bit lately. And it's like, it's a difference between, I know that I need to be healthy, heart pumping a little bit too fast coming up the stairs sometimes. So it's a difference between, I need to be healthy, I need to get, blood pumping better, versus like looking at somebody else and saying, oh, I need to lose a couple of pounds because she lost a couple of pounds and I like the way she looked. Now you're looking at your body like, oh, I don't like it no more. No, you know, be healthy, but looking at somebody else trying to make them your example, very hard to move past that. Very glad that I have, and it takes God 100%. When it comes to being myself on the external, because I said that I was in a cave and everything. One of the biggest reasons why, and please do not underestimate it, when I say that God has filled me up to where I don't really need things from anybody else. Do I need, this, that? Yes, in the future when it's time. But to be going out looking for this, looking for that, when I say He basically gave me the equivalent of the Pacific Ocean, yeah, don't underestimate when I say that, because my mind has always went against everybody else. I've always been different. And like, for instance, to give you an example, when I have three nieces and a nephew. My first niece was born when I was 12. I have a nephew, and then I have a nephew that was born, and then I have a niece that was born when I was like 18. So somewhere in between, probably like 16 and 17, I was thinking that I don't want to be with a lustful man. Like if I was to ever get married and stuff, I don't want to be with a lustful man because I never want that lust turned towards my nieces or my nephew. I was talking like that as a teenager. That's one of the biggest reasons why I have never really been body forward or sex forward, because I don't want somebody who can easily be turned away from me like that. And again, when we living in a world that's revolved around sex, revolved around lust, revolved around, let me see what you got first, you know. um it definitely made me feel like, obviously people are having success over here, and that's what Satan manipulation part two coming from, because I did find a situation that really highlights the reality of some people's lives. But anyways, I'm talking about my nieces. I'm thinking about my nieces. I'm thinking about my nephew. People who might not even visit my house, probably once a year, if that. Versus you got a lot of people, the average person, you got a grown daughter in your house, and you're not even considering those kind of things. So a lot of things that I know, can't nobody take credit for it because it's already been in my mind, and God. So um, wanting to hide myself this whole time, I wanted friends. I talked about it. I wanted friends. I wanted the boyfriend. I wanted to have what everybody else was having. If Snapchat and all that stuff was coming out, so you at home by yourself alone, and you watching your friends and your classmates or your coworkers or whatever the case is, and they out, they partying, they drinking, they got all these people around them, and there you all at home, bored by yourself, watching on your phone. I kind of would rather be outside with them versus looking at everybody else on my phone. So, I try to hide. I try to be less than. I try to go along to get along. And one thing that has consistently been proven is that you could try to hide as much as you want to, it's just not going to happen. So when I say that I can only be here because of God's love, because God personally had to go get me and say, you keep hiding this person, this is exactly who I wanted. Yeah, do not underestimate that. And the sad part about it is, in a lot of different ways, a lot of times we do hide things about ourselves in general, because if hiding ourselves means that it's going to make it easier for somebody to love us, then yeah. But again, a person cannot truly love you if they don't really know who you are. That's a subject for another day. Um, so I kind of want to talk about some things that's recently been on my mind. So when it comes to the book, it was never what happened. This I always say it shouldn't be a long video, then it ends up being like 30 minutes. But the book was just never gonna happen in a year. I've done a lot of typing. I've done a lot of writing. A lot of times I'm still trying to figure out chapter one. Some days I think I got it. Some things I swear I'm satisfied. We can move on to do this one. Da da da. Then it's like no, no, I'm not satisfied. Go back, do it again. I was trying to handwrite it. That takes a year and a day. Then I would spend a whole weekend handwriting it. Not satisfied, throw it straight in the trash, pull out some more paper, do it all over again, still not satisfied with that one. It's also very difficult because I'm still learning, I'm still growing, my mind is still being shaped. And it's just like, so it's just, it's complicated to write about something that you still kind of going through, I guess. And I'm not settling for nothing less than perfection. So that's the only thing that it has to be. Now, upon writing a book, because like I said, I love to have opportunities to constantly have my mind going. So, just like in the video, I mentioned how it's very much a blessing that God was so involved in my life. Yeah, I don't want to get into details because I'm not talking to nobody. I don't deal with nobody. I will not be dealing with nobody for a long time. But we do know that one of the biggest reasons why I was here was because focusing on what everybody else have and, becoming embarrassingly desperate to have certain things, getting your hopes up behind this one, getting your hopes up behind that one. And it's just like, it's just another disappointment after disappointment after disappointment. And I told myself, as someone, I'd be experiencing disappointment ever again. But, I didn't really appreciate, because again, I talked about how people make it seem, and I've recently seen people talking about that, not to me, to other people online, how people be like, oh, well, if you was somebody worth being with, and a man would have did this and da, da, da. And like I was saying, it makes, I thought that things had something to do with me, but it really don't. The situation that I'm gonna be talking about was Satan manipulation. It definitely made me realize, like, it's not common, it's definitely not normal to be a woman and men don't be trying to use you, because it's like, it's a very common situation where a lot of women have gave their hearts to a man, been used by a man, had children with a man because they thought what they had was love. They found out the hard way that while they sitting over here emotionally invested in, oh, this gonna be my husband, this gonna be my man, we're gonna have a family together. A lot of people found out the hard way that that was not true. A lot of men don't have no issue lying. A lot of men do not have an issue using. A lot of men don't have no issue taking it. So the fact that I could be 28 years old and I don't have an experience where somebody wasted years of my life, I haven't given no, I haven't wasted years of my life with nobody. It's some people, I had feelings for them, I cared about them, and they could have lied, and they could have used, and they could have abused, and you just gotta thank God for, you know, that's all I can really say. So, what else? Oh yeah. So I was recently being me. I really don't know how to say it, but if I was normal, if I was, if I was like everybody else, if I was all about body, face, looks, sex, if I was a surface level person, it wouldn't be that complicated to be with somebody, because it doesn't take much. Um, but under these circumstances, a man can't get to me. One thing has been proven time and time again. If God says no, it's no. It ain't no way around it. You either go accept it or you're not. Um, so when it's been no, 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 it gets hard to believe that this ever will be a yes. Um, then on top of that, I start to have more of an understanding about like what it would even look like if I was to be with somebody. And I know for a fact now that just like how I'm already being dealt with, I'm already being cleaned up, so to say. I'm already being prepared. That man, whoever he will be, same type of time, same circumstances. A man ain't gonna have to meet me first and then be like, "Oh, I need to get this together." You have to wait a couple of years, child. Please, I'm not waiting on nobody, and that's one thing. That's one thing. Confidence. My confidence that came back and stuff. Um, all in. Like I had said it. I don't have time to be carrying a torch for nobody. I got my own things going on. I got stuff to be focused on, stuff to be worried about. I don't have time to be, oh well, when's this man coming? He ain't coming. Go and watch your business. Because the man that's, if it is supposed to be a man, because somebody have to be a nun. Who knows? I hope not, but who knows? Um, it ain't gonna have to be all of that. So then let's just say that. Oh yeah, let me not forget about this. So a lot of people, a lot of men always focus on like being prepared when it comes to like finances and all the other kind of stuff. Like, oh, because I can take care of a woman and this, that, and the third. One of the things that I appreciate about my situation and being able to be as open and honest as I have to be is because a lot of men do not really take the time to consider how their actions hurt other women, especially when you talk about that you care about a person and everything. Yeah, some people need to get it together in that department. Just like it should have never been a day in my life where I felt the way that I felt, especially because my hair, changing my hair, frying my hair off and everything, that was because of that whole situation. my insecurities and everything, you understand what I'm saying? And it's like if my life would have went on a different path, like if I would have ended up becoming a single mom, or if I'm running behind this man, chasing behind this man, and if I was anything other than what I am today, a lot of people wouldn't be like, oh, maybe we are the problem. You know what I mean? So, based off of that situation, definitely cannot be in the hands of the wrong man. We already seen the destruction. We already were witnessing now what Essen is capable of by myself. So I said, girl, imagine. Imagine. And then I was thinking recently, some things. Oh, yeah. Before I say that, also, I've been seeing it a lot of times where a lot of men are caught up on all of this stuff on social media. It's a lot of things that wants to be seen. They put in an effort to be seen. A lot of women, they saying, being beautiful is their job. So, we seeing bodies that we've never seen before. We've seen butts moving in ways that we've never seen butts moving before. You got people who was once, and nobody paid attention to you. You beautiful now because you went and had surgery. So you got a lot of men who are finding it even harder to fight temptation because of this. And yeah, it goes back to how I felt like when we live in a lustful society and I want to be loved for my mind, for my heart, how do you find love amongst foolishness? So, let's just say that I'm not gonna get into details about exactly what it is, but let's just say that I have recently seen that the type of man that I did not think exists apparently does. Not like I met the man, not like I know the man, nothing like that. I don't even see. All I said was to myself, I said, child, now that I see it, I said, could you imagine sitting over here, being upset about this and being so upset about that and everything, girl? And I said, that's one thing that's a blessing with having God in my life because, I talked about it 23, 24, 25, 18, a lot of times we so desperate to try to hurry up and settle down because we just want a relationship, a relationship, a relationship. And that's something that I was, talking about with the book that I'm going to be talking about with the book is that we be so focused on trying to hurry up and be a boyfriend, a girlfriend first, husband, wife first, mother, father first, and it's like we don't even take the time to really figure out who we are first. Like everything's about relationship and then try to revolve around that. And a lot of times, no. So I was saying like one of the biggest benefits of having God looking out for me and having God basically be my matchmaker is at 23 years old, Essen only knew 23, which means I wasn't knowing what 28 was going to look like. I don't even know what 29, 30, 31 years old will look like. So to have somebody who says, I don't care what you want today. I'm not concerned about what you want today. I'm looking at who you will be and what you will need in the future. I said, I really am blessed. I really am. I really am. And I really thank him for that. And then I said, now that I see that certain things exist that I didn't even think was possible, I said, I'm very much on the same page as him with the whole, if that person don't need to be in your life, you gotta go and watch your business because we don't need no taints. We don't need no when I say taints, I mean tainting me. I ain't got time for nobody hovering over me, none of that other kind of stuff. Because when it's time for that man to come, clip path. Yeah. But since I'm talking about it, we might as well go ahead and talk about how I said, not really. What did I say? Not that whole a woman's supposed to be looking for a man type of thing. I had seen this girl on TikTok. I would say that she probably like 23 years old, right? And she probably on day 15 now, but she has content on her TikTok page and she's like, day 14 of me going to try to find my husband today wearing Lowe's And then she'll have another day where she's in Home Depot and all that other kind of stuff. And you already know, like it's always, if you want to try to find somebody, you want friends, whatever the case is, you got to go out, you got to be seen. Yeah. The way that women get taught, the way that women get encouraged is like to make sure that you look good, make sure that, physical appearance and everything. It's not hard to find somebody who's going to like you based off of physical appearances. That's not the hard part. The hard part is somebody who's actually going to be looking for something serious, somebody who you're actually going to be compatible with. It's a lot. So the whole idea that a woman is supposed to be like running these meaningless errands and going thinking like, oh, like if you go to Walmart, the next man that look good that's buying eggs on the same time you buying eggs, that could possibly be your husband. He's not interested in you. So then you go buy some cereal. Maybe the next man that come on the aisle buying cereal, maybe that's gonna be your man. He talking to somebody. When you go to the cash register, maybe it's gonna be the man that's standing behind you. No, I'm sorry. He's not attracted to you. If this is not successful, you didn't find nobody, then you go to the Walmart 20 minutes a week. It's too much. It's too much. So yeah, I think that's all we really gonna talk about today. We'll see.